You're listening to Community Voice PHL, an award-winning talk show that informs, engages, and inspires. Hey, thanks again for tuning in to Community Voice PHL Talk Show, the award-winning talk show that highlights the value-based programs and services that people of color are doing all across the nation. We'll inform you about events that are happening across the city, and we'll also have engaging interviews with inspiring people who are working to build caring and prosperous communities all across the nation. So thanks again for listening to Community Voice PHL, a show that informs, engages, and inspires. So again, as always, we're excited to be on the air. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. And if it's your first time listening to Community Voice, appreciate you. And if you're a consistent follower, thanks for tuning in again. So if you want to get with us, our social media is all the same, Community Voice PHL. That's our Instagram, Facebook, and we're not really on Twitter. So it's just really Instagram and Facebook where you can find us at. But we're also on YouTube, and we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're building traction with that. Thanks all the love for that. The radio show, because of y'all, because of your support, we're award-winning radio show. But now we're trying to, move in that same space on YouTube, getting that publicity and push out there as well. So we're now on YouTube. So follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Community Voice PHL Talk Show. And this episode is sponsored by our Apple Podcast, where you can get informed, engaged, and inspired on the go. So subscribe to our Apple Podcast, which is Community Voice PHL Talk Show. And again, get informed, engaged, and inspired on the go. So appreciate all your support. Appreciate all that you're doing to make this show as impactful, as important as we know it can be, sharing the dope information about these people who are really just out there, moving and shaking. This is our sixth year doing the show. So we're excited about that. We're excited about all the people, again, who have been our guests, all the people who've been supportive. And I say that because, again, this show just really is about the people, the voice of those individuals who are doing some work, who some we may know, some we may not. But these are the groundworks that need to be done in our community, whether it's in politics, whether it's in entertainment, whether it's in the arts, whether it's in healthcare, whatever. We're just bringing you these individuals and organizations so that you can know more about them, support their work, and be able to engage with what they're doing. And even some of you who have been our guests, we salute you for being our guests, and we thank you for being our guests, because you've been helpful with our listeners as they listen in and getting the information and wisdom that you've been sharing to be successful in every area of their life. So appreciate you in all that regard as we begin, jump into this next season for Community Voice. I'm excited about the guests we're going to have on our show today. Someone I met, of course, via social media, because that's, again, what we do. We move and shake, and we make connections in that space as well. Dennis Davis, he's a yoga expert. He may not call himself that, but I'm going to call him that. He's a yoga guru, expert, all that in one. He really has a great program that teaches about the yoga wellness for young adults and adults as well, and the importance of that. And, a Community Voice, we're always advocating and getting out there to make sure we're taking care of our wellness and self-care, because self-care is the best care. We know we can have those great job benefits and all that, go to our doctors and all that. But one of the ways that we really want us to centralize ourselves on, and particularly people of color, is making sure we're grounded in that space of mental and emotional wellness. And yoga, and I don't want to, get too far into it, but yoga is one of those ways that we can really be able to tap into that. And I'm excited to have a great conversation with my good new friend, Dennis Davis, as we talk about that. But before we get into that, we always got to get some shout outs and some love to people who are doing some amazing things. Now, it's a new hair company that's just started. A good friend of mine, Altaviz Rosario, her daughter started her new hair company. And I know y'all know I'm bald. Y'all know I ain't got no hair, right? But I know y'all sisters and even some of y'all brothers who want to, support in any way that y'all can. 7 Styles Hair Company is on and popping. It's hitting. Website is 7styleshaircompany.com. So go and check them out. And I'll have that information in the show notes. But again, this is a new hair styling company. And I want to share that because, again, it's Black owned. A young sister down there making her moves in the ATL area. So I'm sure you check out her website. She'll be able to ship it to up here in the tri-state area. And nonetheless, if you are down in the ATL area, because we know we got supporters all up and down the East Coast, which we're thankful for. So if you are down in the ATL area, go support 7Styles Hair Company. Just launched, doing some phenomenal work with hair design and hairstyles and hair quality. And again, for the sisters who looking to, keep themselves beautified, here's a place where you can try, as an organization you can try, support a Black-owned business. Sister doing some great things in the ATL area. And brothers, like I said, if y'all want to buy something for y'all ladies, I don't really know how that works. Maybe I want to buy some hair for y'all ladies or whatever. Maybe your twist. You might get down with to get down. But either way, go and support that sister with that. And also my man Eric Williams, Pia, Project Elijah Empowering Autism. He's always doing some great work in the space of, again, empowering autism awareness and making sure that families, communities, individuals who have a loved one who may be challenged with autism or just need some support with their efforts in dealing with that. His organization is hitting it. He's having free basketball clinics and workshops. So check it out. Project Elijah Empowering Autism. It's Pia. And I'll have that information in the show notes as well. So I want you to be engaged with that because, again, that's a great organization doing some foundational work. And also be on the lookout for upcoming soon, the SAFE Foundation. My brother, Ali Shabazz, his organization will be launching a series of summer programs, educational, informational, and arts. So you want to be on the lookout. We're going to have the promotion information coming up pretty soon, but it's educational, entertainment, and arts for the SAFE Foundation. Be on the lookout for more information about that because we're going to be doing some great work because I'm partnering with my brother Ali Shabazz through his SAFE Foundation to do some great work throughout the city. And it's not just going to be about, reducing gun violence without any connection to resources. It's going to be one and the same. It's also going to be a dialogue. It's going to be information. It's going to be engaging. So really excited about that coming up. And so want you to be aware of that. And again, I'll have some information in the show notes so you can check out the website and see some of that stuff, but we're going to be continuing promoting that. So appreciate you all for the support once that information starts to roll out. And also want to let you know about a new TV show that started beginning of the year that I've been hosting. It's called Reaction. Reaction is a TV show that helps us think differently about things that matter most. We're going to be talking about current event issues, particularly in the tri-state area, but even across the nation. We're going to be having guests on the show at time to time, talking about these issues and seeing how we can deal with them in a different way, looking at it from a different lens, getting your reaction to those current events and issues throughout our city and across the nation. So it's Reaction, a show that helps you think differently about things that matter most. And it airs the first and third Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. on Apple Podcasts, Roku, Xfinity, and Philly Cam TV. So again, be on the lookout for that. And again, information about that will be in the show notes so that you can have that and be able to tune in to Reaction, share some of your reactions about that as well. So appreciate you with all of that. And those are updates that we have that keeps you informed. And now we want to move to a space where we keep you inspired and engaged. And so I met a good friend. Again, we met via social media. We even spoke a few times over the phone and via text. And his program really resonates. Many of you also know that I run, I work out, and I do things like that. I'm always making sure I have that wellness part of my life balanced out. But whenever you get a chance to talk to an individual who is passionate about, mental health, passionate about wellness, passionate about yoga, or passionate about whatever they're doing, it's really, really time for me, I think, to bring them on the show to share with you their level of passion so that you too can be able to be inspired and engaged in the work that they're doing and understand the reason why they're doing that work. Because y'all know when we talk to a guest, it ain't about no prescripted questions. It ain't about trying to go all ultra deep with it. Even though, of course, all of our guests can go deep, but it's not really about that. It's about getting to know the person, getting to know the organization and the work that they do, why they do it, how it helps the community. I know that's how we roll. So as I was communicating with the brother, I was like, you know what, this is going to be solid because he's going to really offer something. And also talking about offering something, at the end of our conversation, he's going to do a little demo. So those who are out there watching on our YouTube channel, you get the bonus. If you're listening via radio, once this show drops, go back to our YouTube channel so you can get that bonus too. So I don't want nobody to miss out. So it's going to be really, really a great show. It's going to be different in this format. We're going to be bringing on guests in that capacity because, as I mentioned, we're trying to bolster our YouTube channel position, not for any money or anything like that, but just so people can understand the importance of things that are happening in organizations that they could sponsor. Because some folk listen to radio, some folk podcasting, some folk do YouTube. So we're just trying to bolster our YouTube channel just for that reason. So however you get down with Community Voice, you can find that information. So again, I say that because going forward, since we are going to be on YouTube going on, we want to make sure our guests who come on, if they have an opportunity to show their art in any capacity, show their craft, or show their giftedness, YouTube channel is a great place to catch up with that. Again, my good brother Dennis Davis is going to do that, and you'll see in a couple minutes when I bring him on. Just like we did last time, we had my good friend Sir Dominique and his spoken word crew. They came on and dropped some lyrics, so that was dope. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to bring my man on the set, Dennis Davis. He's in his Yoga Dennis studio, so y'all can see some of the background going on with him. And then once you join his studio, you'll see what you're getting into. My good friend Dennis, what's up, my man? Thanks for being on Community Voice. See, there you go. You're working on technology. You gotta take yourself off mute. I know. In these days of pandemic, we like, we still gotta work that mute button. Let me see if I can get you an assist here and get you off mute. Okay. My man, he probably got to circle back and get back on the scene. But as he's reconnecting, want to just make sure again that we share our contact information. So if you're first time watching, Community Voice PHL, that's how you can find us on Instagram, Community Voice PHL. We're on Facebook, Community Voice PHL. That's our Apple Podcast. So there's various different ways you can catch up with us on various different platforms. All the information is the same. So if you're searching on social media or any of those other platforms, do Community Voice PHL, and you'll be able to find us. I think my man Dennis is back on the set.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there you go, man. I thought you was doing a big time move on me, bro. Like I thought. He like,
man. I'm too excited to be here.
No. See what happened, y'all. I'm gonna get y'all real skinny. What happened was he heard the intro of the show. He's like, man, this joint corny. I don't want to be on this. So he was like, never mind. You did a never mind on me, bro.
Nah, I tell you what, man. I was listening backstage. I'm just like, wow, 6 seasons.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Incredible, man. So I'm here, man. I'm here and I'm excited, bro.
That's what's up. But yeah, man, appreciate it. Because I know from time to time we have those small technical glitches. So thank you for being persistent. Because sometimes with some folk, when they go through one glitch, say that's it. I can't do it. Can't get back on. They get a little nervous. So I thank you for being persistent. Because I do believe that what we're going to talk about as far as your experience, your expertise, is going to be beneficial to our listeners and our viewers. Because that part of wellness and self-care, not that it's taken for granted, but sometimes it's just not put into our forefront to really emphasize the importance of it. Because and now I just let you get into it. So give us a little bit of story about yourself, man. What got you into it? Where you from, man? You from Philly? Because I'm not from Philly. Everybody know I'm not from Philly. So don't be ashamed to say.
I was gonna ask you, are you from New York?
I am from Newark, New Jersey.
Okay, Newark.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I heard some of your accent come through.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Is he from Philly? No. All right, so I am born and raised in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And what started me on this path, because you got to understand, I don't come from a lineage of yogis. All right, let's start there. I don't come from a lineage of yogis. I haven't done yoga ever since starting 3 years ago. Prior to that, I always looked down on yoga, right? Because it was a story that I told myself. Right, the story that I always told myself is the story that we so often tell ourselves in Philadelphia, in the inner city, is yoga is not for me. The stretching and all it is a bunch of stretching. We don't do that. Our people don't do that. Not from where we are, right? We play basketball, right? We play basketball, we play football, right? That's what we do. We box. Yeah. So that's the things that that's the stories that I always told myself. So that's the identity that I created. Mm-hmm. And therefore my ego backed it up. So one day I'm in the gym and I'm working out, man, Lifetime Fitness. I'm working out and I see all of these and I gotta be honest with you, right? This is Community PHL, right?
Right.
Be honest. I see all these beautiful women walking in one direction, right? So I'm like, let me just go see what's going on.
Yeah.
They go to a yoga room. I said, oh, okay, this doesn't interest me, right, at all. I said, I'm gonna go ahead and head out. As I'm heading out, a teacher walks in the door and she says, oh, you need a mat. Mm-hmm. She's thinking that I'm going out to go grab a mat. Right. So I'm in between the door and the stage, and I'm like, I see the light. I can leave. And something told me to stay.
Right.
I grabbed the mat, and it was 2 spots open. They happened to be in the front.
Oh, wow.
So I go to the front and I'm like, okay, you know, the chatter starts.
Yeah.
Why did I do this? Why am I here? What's happening? I could still leave. It's true, I can. Do I really want to leave? Why am I still here? So the ego is coming in. The heart is pounding because now I'm out of my comfort zone.
Right.
And it's anxiety. I'm becoming anxious. And I'm like, this is not going to be good. I'm looking around the room. No one looks like me. I said, okay, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So I'll fast forward you throughout the practice. Once we get to the end of the yoga practice, which is an hour, and it was heated, right?
Was it sweat yoga? It was sweat yoga or just
heated yoga? So you know, I'm just sweating.
Yeah. Okay.
We're in the meditation. The teacher's guiding us through. She's saying things like, "Can you feel the wind or the air between your fingers?" Now, mind you, we're in heated yoga.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's no air.
Right.
But I felt the air.
Wow.
Right. So you have to be really tapped in to really feel that. And as I'm in this, my dad comes to me. Now, give you a little backstory. My dad passed from multiple myeloma cancer, bone cancer, about 20 years ago. This is the time, it was 17 years ago. But he came to me, literally, because I'm sitting there, and he's like, "You can let me go now."
Wow.
You can let me go. And I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
And when he meant by that was, again, a lot of my identity was tied to my father's identity. So I always thought, as long as I had him, I will always be okay. You know? And when he passed away, a part of myself passed away too, because I no longer had an identity. Right. I was just now I'm trying to find an identity. And I held on to him so long, and he was asking me, he was just saying, "Hey, look, it's time to let me go, so that way you can find who you are." Right. As he came, he left. Right. I'm like, I'm crying now. I'm bawling, crying. A friend of mine comes to me. 2 years prior to when he came, he was shot 10 times in his car. Wow. This is one of my brothers, a great friend. He said, "You can let me go now." I said, "What does that mean? What is that supposed to mean?" 2 days before he died, I was supposed to meet with him. I was supposed to go out with him. I never went out with him. Wow. And I started to blame myself. Guilt started to come in. That if I would have just met with him, I could have had a conversation. Might have tailored what he was going to do 2 days after that. Right. He said, "It's not on you. You can let the guilt go." Now I'm literally like, and I feel like this is a whole experience that I'm having. Right. And then I had another friend come to me that had the same type of traumatic, situation. This is all within happening in 3 years for me. Like all these traumatic situations back to back. My dad passed a while ago, but these two traumatic situations. She said, "It's okay. You can let me go." Wow. When I came to, I opened my eyes and I am bawling, crying. The first thing I did was I started to look around and see who's watching. Yeah. No one. Wow. No one cared. They left me to my experience the entire time. So I got up from my mat, and I had 40 more pounds on me during that time. I got up from my mat and I felt super light. What's this? What's happening? Something about me transformed. I didn't know what it was. So I left. I left the studio. I went home. I said, "I'm gonna give it a day. I'm gonna sleep on this, and then I'll see what happens." I slept on it, and I woke up the next morning feeling the same way. I said, "Okay, well, I need to know. I'll wait a week." I'm doubtful at this. I'm like, let's see what happens in a week. Right. After about a week, I get up, and I'm like, I really feel I still have this feeling. Something transformed in me. So I went down a rabbit hole, just searching about what happened to me, what's going on with me. Right. Why do I feel this way? What's going on? All the books, read it all, found 2 teachers, and Khalif and Jay, Yoga Chitta is the group, is the organization. They was able to explain to me what happened to me. I took a 275-hour course in yoga, and then after that, I was sold. I took a 200-hour course, and that's when I became certified. Oh, wow. And I told myself that, and this is it, I told myself from that day on, that I will teach this practice
Mm.
in hopes that the people in my community
Mm.
can release the trauma that we
Mm.
go through every single day.
Wow. Wow. Man, thank you for sharing that, man. Powerful story. Blessings to you for those experiences and those who have transitioned, from your father and their friends and so forth. But yeah, man, it's what we need to hear, because as you were sharing that story, man, when it a lot of relates to some of my transitions in life, being able to let go of certain things that we think either, like you mentioned, is guilt related to us, or either just sentimentally, emotionally related to us, that we can let go of. So appreciate you sharing that. But I want to peel back a little bit, if you don't mind, and step into your story and part of the conversation, because you did say a lot, and I want to kind of unpack it as well, because I think it's important for our listening audience and viewers to know. But first thing I want to talk about is when you said, you was being straight up and honest, because, I know you that type of dude. You was just checking out the women, right? You're just like, hey, it's just like, I see this, I know what this is about, right? But then also, not just that, I'm just making light humor about that, but when you were stepping in the room, it was like that, this ain't us type thing. How much do you think that really impacts, particularly Black men, from stepping into this space of where they can actually receive some wellness in another capacity? How much do you think that's really like culturally related, or in your experience? Talk a little bit about that.
That's a wonderful question, my guy. And it goes back to identity that was created. Right. So when we think back to it, we say we create these identities, right? And not just that we create them. Our environment has a huge is a huge asset to why we think and why we are the way we are. Why we created this identity. So if I created identity saying that if my communities helped me and my family has helped me create this identity that I only do a specific sport, we only do a specific task. Just going back to your childhood, when you think when you used to hear your parents say things like, yo, stay in child's place. Or when you hear when you ask why, right? When your parents says something, you ask why, and they like look at you like you're crazy, you better shut up. Situation, right? So all of that right there then creates this identity of and even if you want to say, for example, you have an issue, right? Can't talk about it outside the house. You remember that. What goes in this house stays in this house, right? And then think about the identity, like even like our religious institutions. It's the same way, right? It's like this kind of has to stay here. You have to be a specific type of person to be in this specific area, even if that's not who you are. Right. So all of these different spaces create identities for us. And then what our ego likes to do is to say, is to hound in on that and say, yeah, this is who you are. This is what you do, right? So it plays a huge role, our environment, our culture. This is the only music that I listen to. So when you try to listen to something else, the ego comes in and say, what are you doing? This is not you. This is not what you do. This is different from who you are. So it plays an extremely huge role. And when we're trying to do something that maybe uncomfortable or maybe different, just different, not even uncomfortable, right? Identity plays a huge role.
So again, I want to pause here for a minute because I really want to make sure our brothers get this, man. It's and you mentioned sports, and I'm assuming you played hoops growing up because you mentioned that. I play hoops. Everybody know that. So it's just like nowadays in today's society, people will take a practice like yoga and say, yo, do some yoga, you know what I mean? And the reason why I say is that they're doing it out of perfunctory reasons, you know what I mean? Like, hey, if you do some yoga stretches and poses and calm your mind down, make you a better player. So their end goal is to be a better player. So how do we get that paradigm shift to move our brothers from just being, again, perfunctory about yoga to being purposeful about it? Just to the point where, hey, like you mentioned, faith-based institutions. Hey, I want to do yoga as faithful as I do, my religion. You know what I mean? Because I just personally think it's just that important. I try. I don't even want to say try. I practice yoga every day. With light meditations, some stretches and poses, stuff like that. Bro, I know you're gonna teach you some additional ones, but I know it's an integral part of the wholeness of myself. So talk about how we can move from just the performance of yoga to the purpose of yoga, particularly for Black men, because I'm gonna get into it for the whole brothers and sisters as well. But I just want to know, because Black men, man, we struggle, right? We struggle so much. So can you enlighten a little bit, and then we can move on with the conversation?
Oh, absolutely. So I think one of the first things we got to do is like when I show up, I show up like me. Like this is how I show up.
Mm-hmm.
So when they see that, they're like, okay, you know, I don't have like the garbs, I don't have like the, you know what I mean? I show up as who I am, right? As Dennis Davis, I'm Yogi Den, but I show up as a black man,
mm-hmm.
right? So when they see that, they're like, okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
And if there has to be a gap closer.
Yeah.
And what God has given me is that he's like, okay, one of the gifts that I have is storytelling. So, you know, this is an ancient practice. Storytelling is ancient, right? But that's just how we connect to each other. So when they see me and then they see a little swag, right? They're like, and then I can share my, you got to connect, right? So I can share my experiences. Like the experience I just shared. A lot of them go through that trauma every day almost, you know? So to connect that way, they're like, okay, he's like me. So I can hear him, I can listen to him. So he wants me to get on this mat. All right, I'll try the mat out. And then from there, it's up to me to guide you through these practices. Now that I have your trust, because one of the biggest things, you see my shirt, trust issues. I trust issues. So we have to gain that trust through connection. And then we can get these people on the mat. But I think the biggest thing is they see me, they're like, okay, like he looks like us. Like, okay, let's see what he's talking about.
Right. So you build that trust, you get them into your studio, your den. I don't even know if you call yours a den or a studio.
Well, I just call it a meditation room.
Okay.
Meditation room,
get them into your meditation room, because that's even great, because I wanted to segue into that part of our conversation. As you're going through the yoga poses and then you get to that point where you are meditating, is there a process of that yoga, and I'll say this, performances or practices of yoga movements, that's the better word I'm going to use, is those yoga movements setting you to the place where you can be prepared to meditate? Walk us through that. How does that work?
All right, great. So anytime that I start off a practice, we always start off either like on our backs or on our stomachs, right? Or even in fetal position. Because I think one of the biggest things is before we even start moving into postures, like, and I think a lot of people get this misconstrued too about yoga. Yoga is an 8-limb path. Yoga is just not the movements, right? So yoga, before you even get to the movements is the 3rd limb. So it's 2 more limbs you got to get to before you even get there. So one of the things that I felt is necessary to teach was the first 2 limbs, which is the yamas and the niyamas. Now, the yamas are 5 principles, and it's about restraint. And then when we talk about restraint, we're talking about fluctuations of the mind, restraint of the mind fluctuations, right? We're talking, and then when we get to the niyamas, which is the 2nd limb, that is the cleansing. That is the purification of the body. So before we even get to the postures, I need to make sure that you are in a tranquility-like state of mind, so that way the ego is no longer in the building, right? Because the ego's coming in as soon as you lay on your mat. You know, and especially when I have my young guys, they're laughing, they're giggling, you know what I mean? Because all of the egos coming in, like, get up, you don't need to be here, surrender, like, oh, what's happening? Like, what am I doing? But once I start to tell the story, once I start to tell my story, now they're like, oh, he knows what, it's like he knows what I'm going through. He knows what I'm feeling. And the ego goes to the side, and then they're dead silence. And now we're breathing to get you melted into the mat, right? We want you to let all of it go because the tension is there, right? So once you let go of the tension, and I can tell when it's gone, right? I can look at the eyelids and tell. So I'm just walking through looking at the eyelids, and I can tell. Once it's gone, they're in, right? And once they're in, then I can start to talk to them about what we want to release. What's the intentions for your practice? What do you want to let go? What do you want to do?
So let me pause you right there. That phase is called, remind me what that phase is called again?
Well, that first phase, that's just it's a light meditation.
Okay, light meditation. So when they're going through that and you see that the light begin to come on, is that like a point where you start the movements, or is that still you got another phase yet to go? How does that?
No, once they're in, we let them, because a lot of times once you're in, we don't want to start the movement right away, right? Because once you're in this state like you're thinking, right? The things are coming up.
Gotcha.
So we want you to spend a little time on that. We have music in the background, so the music can help you and carry you through this, right? Okay. So, and then we'll start movement, probably like probably like give them like a minute, 2 minutes to really gain their intentions and why they're here and what they're working through, and then we'll start movement.
Cool. So you know, and the reason why I asked that because it's unique to my understanding, right? Because I've been at yoga classes, and one of the things they do, you know, get the mat, get yourself a little warmed up, whatever, and they start going into the motion, into the movement. So that's why I was like, wow, this is a revolutionary, revealing to me in terms of different approaches, and I'm sure the same people are listening to us. So again, when we're talking about the meditation part and getting them to trust and open up. Because our city, Philadelphia, and every major city across the nation is inundated with so much violence and so much degradation and disenfranchisement, is that like almost therapeutic, or is it just like, well, yeah, talk a little about it. Is that like therapeutic for you? Can you like, because you said you can see it, and I think that's a noble craft, and obviously shows that you have honed in on your skills. You know, what do you see? You know, without, of course, you don't want to get into anybody's business, but what do you see commonly amongst people when you're getting them to meditate? Like, if you get me to meditate, like what do you see? If you could share.
Yeah, for sure. So another misconception that we have about meditation is that you're supposed to clear your mind, right? So that's actually, you know, so when we talk about meditation is like the last limb, right? And that is just to become one with everything. That's not what we on, right? We at the very low level. It's mindfulness. So when we're in that state, and these guys, what we know is happening is that they're seeing their life. They're slowing down, and a lot of times we don't get to do that. We never slow down. We like to skip past like something come up, get it. You know what I mean? No, we don't want it. And if it's something that we really got to deal with, nope. Something else, right? We try to drown it with something else, right? Whether it's alcohol, whether it's an activity, whether it's something else, we want to drown it, right? We don't want those thoughts. But what we're seeing in these young people, or even just you know, adults, is that they're doing the work, right? They're honing in on it. They're not running. They're honing in.
Wow. So when they hone in, now they're there. What do we do? Do we just let that moment sit? Is it sort of like your experience, if you don't mind me, you know, bringing that back up? Is it like your experience where those voices were coming to you? Do you let that sit? And I'm just trying to gauge, like, how does this flow into a space where you can actually have that level of mindfulness and awareness to feel the wind?
So you're talking it now. This is where like I would say the guide is so important. Right, the atmosphere is so important. Again, like when I'm there, like, and we have different, you know, they call it the alter ego. I'm in a space. When I'm in that space, like I am present. I am present. And then, you know, I learned another gift that I had just recently over the winter of being able to move energy, being able to sense it and move it. Right, that may be another topic, another conversation for another day, but I can sense energy. I have a gift to feel. You know, some people can see, some people I can feel. So I can feel the energy in the room. I can feel if a certain person may be having a tougher time, right? It depends on what God wants to give me, right? So I'm open enough, right? I'm open enough because what I eat, what I drink, and how I meditate, I'm open enough to be able to experience that. So when they're going through that, and I see that, I may give them a little bit more time, depending on the circumstance. Right? And if not, if I feel like they're in, like if I feel like the energy is saying, hey, look, they're good, they got what they needed. Now it's time to open them up. Now, when we talk about open them up, it's the movement. Now we talking about opening the channels, because that's what it is. When we're physically moving, when we're warming up, now they have to get grounded, as we like to say. Ground them in a space, right? So that way, whatever they're working through, or whatever they have, whatever their intention is, we have to get them in a foundational sense, a grounded space. So now I'm cueing them into feeling, like, noticing their body. So we pulling the knee into the chest. Did you notice the subtle sensation of your back now pressing against the mat? It wasn't before, but it is now. Do you feel the compression of the belly against the quadricep? Now that they got their intention. Now they're going into the connection of their body. Now they're feeling their body. Okay, now I do feel my belly going against my quadricep. I do feel my back going against it. So all the outside stuff is gone. We're dealing with the inside. And every time that a thought comes in, I give them another cue.
Gotcha.
Come back to the breath or come back to the body.
Yeah.
Now we're warming up.
Yeah. So when they're in the point of being, aware and in that moment, and you're giving them the postures to go into, does the level of flexibility increase with the level of release? And what I mean by that is that the more that we're releasing, does the body then relax, and therefore the flexibility then increases? Is there any correlation in that, or is it just through practice your body just learns to be more flexible? Is there any correlation to the release and the flexibility, or the relaxation and the flexibility?
Well, what a heck of a question, right? So there's a lot that plays into it. Now, when you're in, again, it really depends on, there's a lot, right? So a lot of times what we do see, again, like these people are coming in nervous, they're coming in anxious, so they're coming in tense already.
Yeah, that's that's related to, because you come in, you're like, and even though you do one motion, you're not really there yet until you continue to do it, and before you know it, you touching the knee to the elbow and all, So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they're coming in tense. So that's what the guide is, that person that'll help them, and that's what we do, that 10-minute, laying on your back, going through that thing to help them start to release it. But all of it's not released.
Yeah.
So now when I ask you to pull your knee into your chest, right, there may be some resistance there, right? So one of the biggest things, we use the breath. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, pull the knee in closer. Because when you exhale, you're releasing the tension from the muscle. You're releasing the anxiousness from the cells, right? Because the cells, they have mitochondria too, right? So they're like a living thing. So you can breathe in and out of these cells. Once you exhale, that releases the tension in the muscles. So now you can pull in a little bit more.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. That's what's up. Because I know sometimes folk try and get into certain positions and they just can't. But then you see them a couple weeks later, like, yo, you all twisted like a pretzel. How did that happen? So,
yeah, it's about releasing too. So we got, like, in our hips, our hips are tight, but that's a lot where our trauma is lodged in.
So so talk about that, because it's not anywhere else where trauma is mostly stored. Why is it in the hips? Is it kind of like biological in that regard, where our human physiologies make up, or?
Yeah, so you gotta figure, like, that hip area. All right, so now we're talking about like the chakras, right? And a lot of people hear about the chakras, right? The energy centers that's in the body. The one that's
so share what that is for our listeners who do not aware of the chakras. So there's 7 of them. So if you just give a rundown, then you can pick back up in your combo.
Oh, for sure. So the chakras are, we got the physical body. So we have our shoulders, we have our elbows, we got the physical part, the things that we can touch. But we also have a mental body, right? So we know about the mental body, the things that we can think, the things that we can manifest, right? And then we have an energy body, which we don't talk about, right? The energy body is the 7 chakras, or the 9 chakras, but most commonly 7. And it starts from between the perineum and the anus and the perineum, right? So you got the root chakra. Root chakra is down at the bottom, the base of the spine, right? And that's red. That holds your security. So anytime that you're afraid, anytime that you're in fear, anytime that you're scared, you don't have shelter, you don't have food, your basic needs, then you don't feel grounded. You're all over the place, right? If your basic needs aren't met. The next one is the sacral chakra. That's your sexual energy, right? That's your creative energy, right? If that's out of balance, then you got fogginess in the mind. You got fogginess in the body, right? You're feeling anxious all the time.
Yeah.
Then we move up. That's at the belly button, right? That's the solar plexus. The solar plexus is your confidence. That's your identity. That's who you grounded and who you are. I know who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So if it's out of balance, you're going to be docile. You may feel weak. You may feel like you don't have a space in this world. Moving on up to the heart chakra, right here, one of the biggest ones, right? That's the love chakra, right? If that chakra is blocked, then you don't open up you don't open up the chest. You have heart problems. You may have heart issues. Heart attacks may lies there. You may have a clogged artery, or you have a hard time opening up to people.
Gotcha.
We move up to the throat chakra. The throat chakra is right in the neck, of course. It may be imbalanced or unbalanced if you don't say what you mean.
Oh, wow.
Right? If you don't speak up.
Yeah.
If you don't set boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? If you just let things ride. Or if you're talking too much. You got balance.
True that.
Third eye, right? Which is one of the biggest ones, right? That's your psychic ability. That is being able to see things and feel things before they happen. Being able to know if somebody's going to call you before they call you.
Wow.
To know that this one is huge, right? Intuition.
Yeah.
Like I feel something, I know I'm not supposed to go there.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Crown chakra. Crown chakra is the one that says, okay, now spirit can talk to you. God got one-on-one with you. If that's open, you're getting messages. This is where you need to do. This is where you need to go. This is your purpose. This is your thing. So there's the chakras.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're talking about the energy centers in the body. So that energetic body is, if you're not, and now, you know, if you're not balanced in those chakras, then those things, then you'll feel out of whack.
Yeah.
You know, you won't be all the way totally there. So that's the chakra centers.
Yeah, So yeah, I interrupted you when you were talking about how the imbalance is in the hip area the most.
And the hips.
Yeah, peel back to that, and then.
Got you. So the hips is where the root chakra is, right? So that's when you're fearful, right? In this whole area, the hips all the way down to like the feet, right? So there's when there is not a release of any trauma that you have gone through, it gets stored in that root chakra area. It shows up in the physical body. So it starts energetically and then it shows up in the physical body, right? The tension got to store somewhere. Yeah. So it stores in around that root chakra area. So you got it in the hips, you got it in the legs, and then all the way down to like the feet. A lot of toxins get stored in our feet as well. Wow. So there has to be a release there in order for you to get that chakra back in balance. Wow. Yeah, so it's a whole thing. It's a science.
I see. It looked like you got a master's in science degree in this stuff, man.
Oh, I'm still working. I'm already here.
Now, bro, you here. You dropping all this good information and expertise. You far beyond here. You're humble. And I appreciate that. That'll continue to elevate you, but you far beyond here. So listen, man, I know that you are going to bless us with a few, I don't know if you want to call them demonstrations or practice visuals for what you typically would do for some of your sessions. So I'm going to turn this portion of the show over to you, man, for the next couple of minutes. You let me know when you're done, and then we're going to bring you back on and wrap up. So it's all yours, Yogi Den.
Thank you. All right. So what I'm going to be demonstrating today is some breath work. I think it's very important. The yoga is great. It's excellent, but also having some breath work to go with it, because what we're finding is the level of anxiousness in our communities at an all-time high. The level of worry in our communities is at a staggering event, right? So we want to make sure that we can bring some balance to the body. So let me get the camera right for y'all so y'all can see exactly where my legs are. This is called Nadi Shoulder, what I'm about to show you guys first, and then we're going to go into some movement. Although I'm a yogi, I still need to sit my hips up on something, right? So I sit up on a bolster. I come to the edge of my bolster so that way I can get my knees lower than my hips. That allows for my back to be straight. It allows for my knees not to have so much pressure on them, especially if you have joint issues. I have scoliosis. So scoliosis basically means that one part of my body is higher than the other, right? It's not really balanced. So now, with that being said, it can cause knee issues. With yoga, is helped me out tremendously. However, it's still a work in progress. So I need my bolster. So I come to the edge of my bolster. My back is straight. I rise my shoulders up, back, and down. And I just come to the natural rhythm of my breath. Just releasing all of the tension in the body, or what I can release, staying in the present moment. I normally say my things of gratitude. Thank you, body. Thank you, mind. Thank you, energy. That helps me ground into the space Deep inhale through the nose, filling all the way up. Exhale out through the mouth. Deep inhale through the nose, filling all the way up. Deep exhale out through the mouth. I do this a few times because now if I am nervous, if I am anxious, that's my sympathetic nervous system. In order for me to calm down that nervous system, I breathe deep so that way I can go into my parasympathetic nervous system and allow my body to understand that I'm in no danger. And there's no reason for me to be anxious. There's no reason for me to be stressed if I'm in a current moment. The only time we get stressed and anxious is when we start thinking about things that's not happening right now. My hands are face down because I'm looking to be grounded. If my hands were faced up, that means that I'm looking for something to come into my life. I'm looking to receive something. I've been receiving a lot lately. I want to ground myself, so I keep my hands down. On the next inhale, I raise my right arm into the sky. On the exhale, I bring the palm of my hand in front of my face. I'm going to use this alternate nostril breathing. I'm going to use my thumb to close the right nostril, and I'm going to use my pinky to close the left. Work with me here. So I'm going to close the right nostril, inhale for 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Then I'll close the left nostril, exhale through the right. 3, 2, 1. I inhale through the right nostril. 3, 2, 1. Close the right nostril, exhale through the left. 3, 2, 1. I do that again. Inhale through the left. 3, 2, 1. Close the left, exhale through the right. 3, 2, 1. Inhale through the right. 3, 2, 1. Close the right, exhale through the left. 3, 2, 1. Bring the hand back down. If you breathe subtleness, you'll see that the heart will slow down beating fast. The mind will sometimes go into a tranquil state. I breathe. Take a deep inhale through the nose. And on the exhale, my hands come in front of me. I press myself up to all fours. Knees underneath the hips. Knees, hips width distance apart. I'll turn this way. My hands are underneath my shoulders. On the inhale, my belly drops, chin lifts. Exhale, back, dome out through the back, chin comes down to the chest. Protract through the shoulders. I do that again. Inhale, belly drops, chin raises. Exhale, chin comes down to the chest, dome out through the back, protract through the shoulders. I come back to neutral spine. Turn this way. On the next inhale, I start to raise forward like I'm leaning over a mat. Exhale down, my chin and my chest, keeping the sit bones in the air. Exhale, coming all the way down to the mat. Setting up for what we call baby cobra. On the inhale, we press into the mat, lifting just the chin off of the mat as far as we can. We're warming up the lower back here. Exhale down. We want to protect the lower back, protect the spine. Inhale, raise. Can you go a little further this time? Exhale, lower. Inhale, raise. Can you go a little further this time? Can you raise the hands off of the ground? Exhale, the hands back down, chin comes back down. On your next inhale, you're going to press up, straighten the arms, lift the chest. This is a heart opener and a throat opener. We talked about the heart and the throat chakra. Our knees are off the ground. Our thighs are off the ground. Our shoulders are peeled back. Head is out of the turtle shell. On the exhale, you'll come to a high push-up or a plank. I know we love our planks, right? Then on the inhale, we sit the hips up and back. Coming into an upside down V shape, or what we call pyramid. In this space, we're just breathing here. Our head is between our arms. I'll turn sideways so you can see. Head is between the arms. We're pressing the mat away, up and back. We're driving our heels down to the floor. Breathing, looking up at the belly button area. Take 3 breaths here. Slowly start to walk to the top of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Now in your forward fold, your fingertips want to be in line with the toes. Chin comes down to the chest. Breathing. You're leaning up on the balls of your feet, but keeping the heels planted in the ground. Feeling a stretch in your hamstrings. Inhale, bring the hands to the shins, halfway lift. Shoulders peel back. Exhale, forward fold. You can step, hop, or jump back to a high push-up or a plank. Exhale down to a low push-up. Flip the toes. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, come into a pyramid. Slowly walk to the top of the mat. And there you have a vinyasa. Breath work, Nadi Shodhana, and then going into what we call a Sun A or a vinyasa. Thank you.
Awesome, my brother. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, I was following through. I didn't do any of the laying poses because, I'm in the studio. I didn't have that space. But as far as the breath work and the breathing, I was following through with that, man. And, I ain't going to front, try and make it sound like it's just for the show. But there was a relaxation that came in those moments. So appreciate you with that, man. And thank you for doing that demonstration of some of those. What was that called? The vinyasa?
The vinyasa, yep.
Yeah,
or we call it sun salutation A, which means the salute of the sun. So we normally do that in the morning, just to welcome the sun back to us in the daytime.
That's what's up. So I'll just say vinyasa. I don't know that other stuff. So vinyasa. But no, on the real, appreciate you, bro. Before I let you go, man, before we wrap up the show, give everybody information about how they can get with you. I already have you tagged in with your Instagram handle right there under your name, but give them any information additional, how they can get with you, any events or sessions you have coming up, and, tell them about how they can support you, man, in any way that they can before we wrap up here.
Absolutely. So thank you all for even tuning in to Yogi Den on Community Voice PHL. I appreciate that. You can Instagram. Instagram is probably the biggest thing. I have a link tree in my bio that has all my classes. I have classes every Tuesday and Thursday in the Germantown area, 6120 Green Street. I have a 5:30 in the morning class on Thursdays, and then I have a 9:30 class on Tuesdays. Right, so whatever floats your boat. And now we're going to start the 5:30 class. It's probably going to be a heated yoga. So if you're up, you want to get an early sweat in. You want to get it. If you're a person that's like, you know what, I'm feeling anxious now. I have a lot going on in my life, and I need some relaxation. I need some peace and some tranquility. That's what my class offers. It's just not the physical. Mm-hmm. It's the energetic. Mm-hmm. It is the spiritual. And we're here to connect you to a lot of different people. So I think one of the biggest things is, once you come into a yoga class, sometimes you just let out and that's it. No, we want to connect you to people like yourself. We want to connect you to other practitioners, people that do this work. And we want to know what you do, just like Community Voice PHL. Yeah. This is what we do. Philly? Yeah. It's exactly, we want to connect people. Also, I have a class, a huge class, because I do what is called a story flow. Story flow is I tell a story throughout the entire practice, right? So we'll bring up bits and pieces throughout the class. A story normally is something that I went through, but it'll connect to you in somehow, some way. Normally, whatever the topic is probably what the community is working through right now. You know, I get that from God. God gave that straight to me. And then that's on April 30th. And that is also in Germantown. So if you go to my link tree, you'll be able to see those classes there.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So appreciate you again, Yogi Den, for being on Community Voice. We'll have all that information in the show notes for those who are watching on our YouTube channel and Apple Podcasts. We'll have all that listed so you can, get with Yogi Den and support him in any of those events that he mentioned or attend any of his several classes that I mentioned. We definitely will have you back on a regular basis if your schedule allows, man. We like for you to be one of our regular experts in that space of health and wellness. So if you are interested in doing that, bro, we can hook up offline and have you back on the show again. But we appreciate you for being on Community Voice PHL.
Thank you so very much for having me.
All right, brother. Take care now. You be good.
All right, you too. Thank you.
All right. So again, that was another dynamic episode of Community Voice PHL. And again, we'll have all the show notes and information about how you can support Yogi Den and Dennis Davis and his yoga expertise and his classes that he mentioned that you can attend. And then again, we'll all have all that information about all the other things that we promoted, whether it's the new TV show Reaction, Seven Styles Hair Company, and any of the events that PIA is having, Project Ally Empowered in Autism. But again, thank you for listening to Community Voice PHL Talk Show. And remember, if it's happening in your community, we need to hear your voice. Peace.